We're learning the schus for Shlema for Ilana Chaya Baserach. So we just finished. We're really at the bottom of Chavav Amid Beis. I'm just gonna backtrack slightly so we can keep track of where we're up to. Maybe I should have finished it yesterday, but this is what we did. So we're going to start about 12 lines from the bottom. Tanaraban. Yisrael malas ha'ovid kechavim l'shum ger la'afuki l'shum morna deloi. Ha'ovid kechavim l'yimel Yisrael Yisrael shlichus dam. Divrei Rav Meir. Rav Meir holds ha'ovid kechavim cannot do mila for Yisrael because of chayshish shlichus dam. So this is the same machlekes we've had a number of times in the last blot. Again, the previous Mishnah on different topics. Now we're having the same machlekes that Rav Meir holds you're not allowed to have an ovid kechavim bimal Yisrael because of we're scared they're gonna botch it up, and the Chacham say if it's in public, it's not a problem. Now the Gemara asks, "V'savar Rav Meir, Ovid kechavim loy? Does Rav Meir really hold that Ovid kechavim under all circumstances is prohibited from doing a milah for a minute?" But we have a brisa. Here she'ein baroi for Yisrael, a town that doesn't have a mile, but it has a mile who's a kusi, or it's a doctor, but he does milas, or a skilled surgeon who's a ovid kechavim. Again, a kusi is a ger arayis, someone who accepted. They were megayer, but they retained their fealty to their Avoda Zara. Or an Ovid Kechavim is a full-fledged pagan. So he says, Yimel Ovid Kechavim al Yimel Kusi, Divrei Rav Meir. The Meir says you should have the Ovid Kechavim do it and not the Kusi. So this is problematic. We just said Rav Meir says under all circumstances, Ovid Kechavim can't do a milah because we say he's going to make him a krushivcha. He's going to botch it on purpose. And here he's saying you should do an ovid kechavim and not a kusi. As we're going to explain later on, a kusi, there's a problem that a kusi believes in milah, but he's going to do his milah l'shem avodah zara. Kusis are mixed up, so they have their avodah zara still, but they believe in milah, so they're going to do their milah l'shem avodah zara. But the ovid kechavim just does it stam, as we're going to see in Rashi later on. If someone does it stam, if a ovid kechavim does it stam, it's considered to be lishma. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer yimol kusi val yimol ovid kechavim. Rabbi Yehuda says exactly the opposite. The kusi should do it and not the ovid kechavim. So this is shver, and that's more sensible. We say the kusi, we're not worried that he's going to do it l'shem avodah zara, and he's not going to do it. He's not going to make him a krushivcha. But ovid kechavim, you do have to worry about it, which is what we would think more intuitively that would make sense. So zok the Gemara. But in any case, we have a kasha from Rav Meir. Rav Meir is saying that you should have a ovid kechavim do it over here. And previously we had just quoted Rav Meir afilu acher ma'in val gabe loy. So Gemara epech. Rav Meir yimel kusi v'lo ovid kechavim. Rav Yehuda kusi ovid kechavim v'lo kusi. You have to switch it around. Rav Meir is the one who says that the kusi can do it, but not an ovid kechavim. And Yehuda says ovid kechavim could do it and not kusi. So now we don't have a stira in Rav Meir. But now the Gemara is going to say we have all sorts of problems with Rabbi Yehuda. Does Rabbi Yehuda allow an ovid kechavim to do a milah we switched it. We said it can't be Rameir because then it's a steer Rameir. So we said it's Rabbi Yehuda who's the one who's saying Rabbi Kechavim can do the Mila. But Rabbi Yehuda also has a problem with saying that Rabbi Kechavim can do a Mila. But Tanya Rabbi Yehuda, Minayin Lamila Rabbi Kechavim Shei Psula Shnema Atas Brisi Tishmar. We quote from Rabbi Yehuda that he says that Rabbi Kechavim can't do a Mila, not not even because of the chashash that he's going to make him a Kurshivcha, but just because it's not going to be Yaitz to the Mila. The Torah says, you should observe the bris, meaning the Yidden, but someone else, an Ovid Kechavim, is not able to do the bris. Now, obviously, then this would only be a problem. Lagabi the Ovid Kechavim, Kusi is a ger, even though he's a very poor excuse for a Jew. He's Ovid Kechavim, but he is a Jew, so he's going to be part of the bris. So the Gemara says no. So we'll go back. We'll say Reb Meir is Taka the one who says that in this brisa that Ovid Kechavim should do it and not the Kusi. And Yehuda is the one who says Ovid Kechavim can. We're talking over here. Reb Meir would say that even though Reb Meir holds generally an Ovid Kechavim can't because of the chash of making a kushivcha, but where this brisa where Meir said you could get an Ovid Kechavim rather than a kusi, it's talking about an expert reifa who is worried about losing his medical license. So he's a mumcha who's going to be careful. Chiyasar of Dimi Am Rabbi Yochanan, Im Hayim Mumcha L'Rabim Mutter. If he holds that someone who's a mumcha l'rabim, he's not going to cause himself. He's not going to be willing to dealing with the insurance paperwork to mess up a mila. In fact, the Gemara, but we still have another problem. Okay, so we've been able to explain. We put things back in their place. That Reb Meir is the man, the Amr in the Brisa, who says Ovid Kechavim yes, and a Kusi no. And Rabbi Yehuda is the man who says a Kusi yes and Ovid Kechavim no. The Gemara says we still have a problem with Rabbi Yehuda. Some Rabbi Yehuda Kusi shaper dummy by putting the brisa back in the way it was originally brought to us. So Rabbi Yehuda is the man who's saying that you should do a Kusi rather than Ovid Kechavim. But that's a problem. Vatan Yisrael malas a Kusi v'kutu le'yimel is Yisrael. Yisrael could be mal Kusi, but Kusi can't be mal Yisrael. We say Yisrael can be mal Skuti, even though we say you can't be mal Ovid Kechavim because you're not supposed to provide medical services to Ovid Kechavim because you're increasing their numbers. But a Kusi, you can't allow a Kusi. So, but a Kusi was Magayas, therefore it's okay. But the second thing, but Kusi la'yimal Yisrael ne'shem bal l'shem ha'grizim. They were Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is the man who says you cannot allow a Kusi to do a Mila because he's doing it l'shem his Avoda Zara. Amalei Rabbi Yosi, v'chehecha matzil min ha'Torah l'shma. Rabbi Yosi disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda. He says, no, where do we ever see such a din that you need Mila l'shma? Elamal v'haylach ha'chatesu nishma. So you could do the Mila until he reaches the end of the line. You keep doing Milas. There's nothing wrong with Kusi doing it shaloi l'shma. It's even if it's shaloi l'shma, it's still good. So now the Gemara says, Ella la'olam eipach. So now we're back to our last twist and turn. We are going to be mahapach the brisa, and we're going to say that Reb Meir holds. So this will answer our original question. We're not going to have to say we're talking about a roifa mumcha. We're going to say Reb Meir is taka the one who holds you a kusi can do it and not an ovid kechavim. So now we don't have anything shver with Reb Meir. But then we had the problem with Rabbi Yehuda that we said Rabbi Yehuda with the kash Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Yehuda. We said how could Rabbi Yehuda says an ovid kechavim. It says the pasuk says that brisi tishmar atas brisi tishmar. It says mashma that ovid kechavim cannot do a bris. I hate Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Ein Chanami. That Rabbi Yehuda is a different Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi who says it's brisi tishmar, and this bryce over here is saying that a ovid kechavim can do a mila. Zaktumar. Minayin lemila b'ovid kechavim shei psula tam l'mayim avatas brisi tishmar. Amr of Chizna, my time of the Yehuda, the Chsiv. So we're going to talk. Amr of Chizna. Yeah, that's Rabbi Yehuda and Nasi. Amr of Chizda, my time of the Yehuda. What is the reasoning? We just brought a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi about whether you need lishma in order to be Yaitza Mila. So what's the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda that says that it has to be Lashem, it has to be Lishma? T'chsiv Lashem Hima. The pasuk says the pasuk is on the side. When you have a ger living amongst you and you make a pesach Hashem, Himal loy kol zachar. You have to be mal every zachar. So then he could bring the carbon. So we darshan, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Lashem Hima, we take away the period in between, the Seif Pasuk, and we read it all as a single Pasuk. Himal, and we say you should do the Lashem, we darshan that the Mila should be Lashem. We put the end of the last word of the last Pasuk and the first word of the first of the next Pasuk, it says Lashem Hima. Rabbi Yosi, Himal Yimal. Yossi darshans the other way around. He darshans the pasuk, a different pasuk. It says, "Himal Yimal Yilid Beischa." Torah uses a lashon riboy. Mal, you should be mal. That anyone, that any mila is good, even if it's not lishma. In fact, the Gemara v'idach, how could Rabbi Yossi darshan Himal Yimal to say even a non-Jew, even a non-lishma mila is good? Aksiv Lashem Himal. That's no, you just read the pasuk the way it's normally read. That the Torah says, the also Pesach Lashem, and then it says Himalay Kol Zachar. It's talking about Pesach. It's not saying any din that a mila has to be Lashem. The Idach Nami Aksev Himal Yimal. What is Rabbi Yehuda who darshans Himal Lashem Himal? What does he do with the Himal Yimal that Rabbi Yosi said? He doesn't dash in it. He says Himal Yimal is not meaning to be a riboy. It's just the way the Torah speaks. Itma. Minayli Mila boy v'gecham shei psula. The Gemara is going to have two. It's an interesting thing that we have over here a machlekes amarayim about what the Brisa had said. We had quoted before. Atas Brisi Tishmar, that from there that you have to have a Baal, someone who's a Yid, V'ata, you have to observe, you have to observe the bris, meaning that you are the ones who can make a meal. So we're going to say it's a machlekes amarayim if that is actually the correct version. So this is from Yehuda Nasi. Daru bar Papa Mishmei Derav Amar. If anyone doesn't remember who Daru bar Papa is, when one day we'll finally get to our Siyam. He's one of the bar Papas in the Siyam. Daru bar Papa Mishmei Derav Amar. Va'ata is Brisi Tishma. He says like our version in Rabbi Yehuda Nasi that you have to have Lishma from Va'ata, and you should be Shaimer the Bris. A Yid has to be Shaimer the Bris. A Yid has to be the one to do the meal. Yechan and Himal Yimal. He says Hamoil Yimal. One who is gemalt, he should do the Mila. My Beinai. What's the difference of which pasuk Yedarshan, whether it's from Va'ates Brisi Tishmar or from Himal Yimal, which we darshan Hamoil, someone who has a Mila himself, he should do the Mila. Aravi Moil, the Givoini Moil, if it's a Arabs used to do Mila, they circumcise themselves, and Gavainim also do Mila. So you have such a person. Can they do a Mila for Yid? According to the Mandama, that the requirement is someone who's circumcised has to do a Mila, so then it's a good Mila. Mandama is Brisi Tishma. According to the Mandama who says, the Ata is Brisi Tishma, you should observe the Bris. Leka, it's not part of, they're not the Yid, they're not Ata, they're not part of the Bris of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Ulamanda Amar Himal Yimal Ika, is it true that if you say Hamoil Yimel, someone who's mal, he can do it, Vatnan. Someone who makes a neder, saying, I'm not going to get any hanaf from someone who's an oral. Mutabar el Yisrael, Vasaba, Bemuli Avdekechavim. He first of all, he's mutter to have hanaf from someone who's a Yisrael who wasn't able to get a bris, because even though he's a oral, technically he's a Yisrael. We know that's not what's referred to as an oral. But also and he's also in someone who's an Ovid Kechavim who got Mila, because then that's not a real Mila. He's still an oral. It's a little hard for me to understand why we would stelz to. For those of us who remember back from the days when we learned Nadarim, Nadarim was dependent on what a person's intentions were. So I don't know why we're telling to what a person's intentions were to what the pasuk says. The pasuk is Hamal Yimal. I guess it must be that we're understanding that the pasuk is saying to do according to what the way people refer to them. In any case, this is what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is asking that we say someone who's an Ovid Kechavim who got Mila is still an Aral. So why would we say Himal Yimal, that Hamal Yimal would make him kosher to do, an Arab who got a circumcision would be kosher to do a Mila? He's still considered an Aral. Like the Gemara says, someone who is a non-Jew who got a Mila is considered like he didn't get a Mila. The difference will be Yisrael, that his brother died because of a meal, and therefore out of excess of caution, they did not. I shouldn't say excess of caution. It was a appropriate caution. They're not supposed to do a mila for the next son. So it's a yid who didn't get a mila. Lamandam avatas brisi tishmar ikka. He's still certainly a full-fledged member of Klal Yisrael. He was not allowed to get a mila. Lamanda Amar Hamoil Yimol, someone who is malt should do the mila leka. So tomorrow Lamanda Hamoil Yimol leka vatnan kashinenami mulim also bareli Yisrael umuta b'mulei of the gechavim. If someone says a neder that he's not going to have hana from someone who's gemalt, he's also, but even if it's an Areli Yisrael, if it's a yid who wasn't able to get me, like we said, a brother, so why are we saying here that an Arel Yisrael is considered to be an Arel, and he's not going to be able to? He's not going to be. If you hold Hamoil Yimal, he's not going to be able to do the Mila. I'm not sure why we had to bring this second Mishnah. The first Mishnah seems adequate. It says Kainim Shani Nanim in Arelim Mutter Bareli Yisrael. So you already said, what? You were wondering the same thing.
I just think maybe this is a little clearer. Like it's
more direct.
More direct, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. I'm off agav, because over there it's talking about command the mahali dami, but we also said kind of shein yanim arelim mutter bareli Yisrael means command the mahali dami. Yeah. Elo ikabeinayu isha. And I'm going to confess, I don't understand exactly this limud. The nafkamina is going to be a woman who does a mila. Lamanda mavates brisi tishmar leka. The isha lav bas milahi. So the part he says that it wouldn't be included in va'ata as brisi tishmar. Now, the way I've been understanding this, it says va'ata as brisi tishmar. Va'ata is a reference to Bnei Yisrael, and he says you should observe the bris. So. I mean, I don't understand why women are not part of the bris of Klal Yisrael. Maybe they don't have the bris of bris milah, technically, but I would think Va'ata would include them as well. But he's saying the lav bas milah, and therefore they exclude the Lamanda Amar Himol Yimol Ika. The Isha command the Mahali Dami. An Isha is considered as if she had the milah as far as being part of Klal Yisrael. She's not mechus or milah. They don't have a need of milah. So they're not considered to be Arelim that didn't get a meal. They're considered as if they had a meal. So somehow we're making a very subtle distinction that women are not considered to be the part of the bris of Mila because they don't need a Mila, But as far as actually having a milah, they are considered to have a milah. Can anyone say, can anyone suggest that an Isha cannot do a milah? But we have the Chumash. In the Chumash we discuss an Isha doing a milah. She took a sharp object and she was mal her sons. So we have in the pasuk that says Sipara did a milah. So Gemara Kari Bei Batakach. Don't say that she took the sharp object, but she convinced she got someone else to take a sharp object, meaning a Jewish man. It says, and she cut. Instead, read it that she got someone else to cut. She got someone else to do it, another man. She started it. She started it, she just wanted to induce him to get going. She started it, but Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who actually did the meal. So we don't have a raya that a woman can do a meal. Zok the Mishnah. We can take from a Ovid Kechavim a ripi mammon, but not a ripi nefashos. The Gemara is going to give a number of explanations of what this means. The aim, in the end, I believe we're going to come out that a ripi, I think this is what we come out, I don't remember, was a ripi mammon is to use them as a vet for your mammonis, but not for a person. The Gemara continues, the Mishnah continues, the aim is stopper mehem b'chol makom, divrei Meir, as is his want, this is already the fifth time. He says you can never get a shave from a Ovid Kechavim using a razor because he'll slit your throat, chas v'shalom. He could do it, the Chacham, as they always, the same machlekes we've had 5 times already, they say he could do it in public, but not in private. In public, he's going to be scared to do it. My ripi mammon and my ripi nefashos. What is ripi mammon and what is ripi nefashos? That we say ripi mammon is allowed and ripi nefashos is not allowed. Ilema ripi mammon b'schar, ripi nefashos b'chinam. If it's b'schar that he's scared to lose his license, then it's allowed. But ripi nefashos, where it's just doing it to save a life, then that's not allowed because he'll just as easily mess it up. In that case, listening misrab ben b'schar v'loy b'chinam. It's not the right lashon. What's ripi mammon and ripi nefashos? The proper way to say it. You could do it for pay and not for free. Ela ripi mammon davar she'eh b'sakana. Ripi nefashos davar she'yesh b'sakana. You could do something that's no sakana. Ripi mammon, where all you have at stake is that you're going to pay him a lot of money and nothing will come of it. So there's no sense. We're talking about trying to take away some pain. So that's ripi mammon. But nefashos, where your life is at stake, for obvious reasons, you can't trust him. You cannot allow them to even heal the puncture that's made by a makaz's dam, someone who lets blood, which is a very small incision, and that's even that you can't allow them to do. So that's certainly not nefashos. El ripi mammon behemtoi, ripi nefashos gufay. Ripi mammon is referring to his animal, and ripi nefashos is a person. It's never allowed. We're going to understand our Mishnah to be saying it's never allowed to have an Ovid Kechavim provide medical services. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. You can't even let them cure a puncture. If the Ovid Kechavim just said that this particular medicine is good or this particular medicine is bad, that's okay. As the Gemara explains, the reason why. He says, he's asking me, and the same way he asked me, he's going to ask someone else. So he knows this. If he's just asking a question, he's not having the doctor provide the actual healing. So then he says, he's just going for one opinion. He'll go get a second opinion. And if I give the wrong answer, I'm going to be caught and I'm going to get in trouble. So therefore, he won't mess him up. Amar Rav Yochanan, Amar Rav Chizda, Amar Rav Yochanan. Suffolk Chai, Suffolk Mace, ain't misrapim man. If someone is the din that we've said till now, the way we understand our Mishnah right now is that you can't get medical services unless the case where you're asking a question where he's going to know someone's going to ask about it. But generally, you can't get medical treatment from a Ovid Kechavim. That's where we don't know if the patient is going to make it or not. Vaday mace. But if someone is terminally ill, misrap man. And this Ovid Kechavim says, I have a treatment. You can come to Mexico and we have a new treatment, then you could get it. And the Bach changes it. Vaday mace misrapa mehem. The Gemara says, how could you say you can take the chance when you know when someone is terminally ill, they could take the chance to use, because the whole problem is worried that he's going to give him a treatment that's going to kill him. But over here, he's anyway dying, and this is his only chance, so he's allowed to take a shot at it. Why aren't we worried that even though he's going to certainly die, but maybe this doctor, this Ovid Kechavim, since we're chayish that they're not going to treat properly, he'll make him live longer. And as we all know about Chaim Aruchim, this organization. We all know the general rule that as Yidden, we believe that even a minute of life is valuable. So how could he give up that minute of life for the chance of saving his life? So we're not chayish for a chayesha. That means it doesn't mean obviously that we don't care about a chayesha, but it means in the context of where this is the only way to save yourself, you're allowed to take a risk, even though you're allowed to take a risk of chayesha for the chance of living for a much longer time. And where do we know that we make this calculation that you can take a risk on chayesha in order to live a long time? This is a story. This is about these Mitzayrim that were stuck in between the invaders, these Amoraim that were coming to Aram. I'm sorry, they're coming from Aram to attack the Yidden, and they were stuck. They were outside of the city gates where the siege was taking place, and inside the gates there was a rav, there was a famine, and outside the gates there were these marauding invaders, and they said, "What should we do? If we go into the city, we knock on doors, say, let us in. They're anyway dying from hunger in the city, so we're just going to die anyway." And so the pasuk continues. The pasuk continues, and if we remain where we are, we're going to also die, because we're not going to get any food. We don't have any food. There's no food in the city. We're going to stay over here. When they invade, they're going to kill us. Let's go over to the invaders. If they kill us, they kill us. If we die, we die. If we live, we live. If we die, we die. We have nothing to gain from staying here. Eventually, we're going to die where we are anyway. It's very unlikely that they're going to accept us. We're Jewish Mitzrayim, but let's give it a shot. How could they do such a thing? But they're giving away their lives. They're going to die. Chances are they're going to die immediately. When it comes to a chance to save a life, we're not chayish for chayesha. Nachum, this should be important to you to know these rules. Meisvei, lo yisa v'yitin adam im haminim. A person should not engage in conversation with a min. A min is somebody who is very attracted to others kachavim. He's not stam an atheist who doesn't believe, but he believes in different avodah zara. So you don't get involved in conversations. And you don't take a refuah from them, again, because they're chashud to kill. Afilu l'chayisha, even for chayisha. So this is l'chayir shver on what we just said. We just said l'chayisha. You can engage if it's just a shash of chayisha to save your life. You can use their services. And we have a story with the this person named Ben Dama, who was the nephew of Rabbi Yishmael, Shekisha Nachash, who was bitten by a snake. Yaakov Ish Kfar Sachanya. Yaakov Ish Kfar Sachanya, we had a few blot ago, about 10 days ago, that he had said this good shtickle Torah about using the money from Ovid Kechavim to make the Beis HaKisei for the Kohen Gadol, and he brought a pasuk to prove his point, and they regretted that they listened. I think it was Rabbi Shmuel who said that he got taken by the Malchus because he listened to Shtickle Torah and he enjoyed it. So in any case, he was a min. He said he came l'refaisa. He said I can heal him. But Rabbi Shmuel, his uncle said, don't let him provide you a fool, even though he had a snake bite, he was going to die. And his nephew, this Dama ben Achaisai, Ben Dama, said to Rabbi Shmuel, my brother, meaning his uncle, let him let me get healed from him. I'm going to prove to you that there's no Issa Midaraisa to having a guy heal me. Before he had even a chance to go to get the healed by this min, he was he died and he wasn't able to get healed. Rabbi Shmuel said it's a good thing that you died rather than getting treatment from this min. Because there's a problem with getting a treatment from a min. It's not just a problem as far as the refuah that we're worried he's going to kill you, but there's also a problem that that maybe he would provide, he would attribute his healing to his Avoda Zara. The Chacham will misaken that one is not allowed to take medical treatment from a min because he's going to use that to bolster his avodas kechavim, and therefore you were good. It's a good thing that you didn't do it because you would be a pirate's gather had you accepted the treatment. Dr. Gemara, so the Chayr, you see that he holds that even for Chayi Shah, one cannot get treatment from Ovid Kechavim. So Gemara Shani minus the Mashkav Asil and Bimshak Gemara says no, this is a different thing. What we were talking about until now was the Chash is going to kill you. But over here, it's not. Over here, it's a chash that he'll save you, but he's going to attribute it to Ovid Kechavim, and the Chavim Mesakin don't do it because then you'll also be convinced of their Ovid Kechavim. Amar Mar le'avral divrei chaverecha sheyoyim parts together yishu nachash. You nami chavitarke. The Gemara says that his taina was it's a good thing that you died before doing it because someone who is ayvan divrei chachamim is as if he got bitten by a snake. But his whole problem was he was bitten by a snake, so he wouldn't have been any worse off. So what are you saying? Yeshchanu nachash, he already bitten by the snake. He's getting the cure for that. So I'm sorry. Yeah. This says there's a different thing that when you the snake bite that you get for being over and divrei chacham for being buried together, that is always fatal. Masha Enkein. The regular snake bites, so there are anti-venoms. There are ways sometimes a person can survive. What was this Ben Dama? What was he trying to say? He said, if you give me time, I'll explain to you that the halacha is I'm allowed to take it from him. He says, he says, because the Torah says, that even though the Torah says that even though this is you're worried about the Avodah Zara, but the Torah says, even in the Makam of Avodah Zara, you're supposed to live with the Torah. The Varsham wants you to rather be Avodah Zara rather than dying. Even though we all know that there are three things that a person should be, is Yaharag Val Yavar, Rabbi Shmuel, and Ben Dama is a different sheet that they take a hold that it's not so that by Ovid Kechavim, it's better to be Ovid. Rabbi Shmuel Hanimi Libitzina, Varhas Yaloi. Rabbi Shmuel agrees be'etzem that a person should be Ovid Kechavim rather than giving up his life. But that's only Bitzina. But perhaps they have Chil Hashem on top of it, even he agrees. The Tanya, Rabbi Shmuel, that a person should be over on Avodas Gechavim rather than die. She agrees in essence with Ben Dama. Because of Chil Hashem, you can't do it b'far Hasya. Okay, we'll stop over here. Yasher Koyach.
Have a good day.
You have a great day.
Yo,